what games do you think you guys would want to see remastered?
Well, since I guess going off of what we're kind of talking about how in a series, like in these series of games like Call of Duty or whatever, like games are just kind of blending in one after another.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking like, what's a good game that it is part of a big franchise that is always updated, but what's a good game that people have forgot about? And mine is Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. On the GameCube. It's an awesome, like, you know, kind of like bird's eye view, just hack and slash kind of platforming.
That really was a unique experience as far as Final Fantasy goes.
I haven't played that title. Is it more or less like Disgaea or anything like that, or?
It's actually kind of strange how it is. If I remember right, it's sort of like a over top view of like sort of exploring a map, and it doesn't play like a Final Fantasy.
It's like it's basically like a platformer. Like
like in a way.
You have like your Koopa, and he carries this thing. You have to like stay inside this circle so you don't die from this miasma that's killing the land. That's why you're finding these crystals. But it's actually for the GameCube. It was like a really pretty game. I really loved the music for it, and it was really fun. But it didn't get a lot of coverage. And I think now with the Wii U, it's perfect because they had this feature where if you hooked up your original Game Boy Advance, the one that was any one you wanted, but it was designed for the original one where you would hook in the cable from the top, so you'd have your map on your Game Boy Advance.
Oh yeah.
And then you would have, you'd play the game on the screen. With the Wii U, this is a perfect time to remaster it because of the Wii U controller. It's like literally perfect. I just think that would be a perfect Wii U game, and if they would just update the graphics.
And didn't they do something similar to that with the Advance adapter for one of the Legend of Zelda titles too?
I think so.
I forget which
I'm
one,
not exactly
but
sure what title it is.
Like I think it unlocked like Mr. Tingle minigame or something like that.
I think I know what you're saying.
I forget which title it is.
We are in the time capsule right now.
While we're in the time capsule, what do you think should be remade?
What I would like remastered is Crimson Skies: High Road to Revenge. Like we actually have a copy of it on the table there.
Yeah, Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, it's Xbox exclusive. I don't even know if it's backwards compatible for the 360, but
I don't think so.
But it might be on arcade.
Yeah.
But,
well, I completely missed the game. So what was that about exactly?
It was essentially like an aerial dogfight simulator.
Oh, okay.
Sort of, where take like Halo, but in planes.
I can dig that.
I actually really love flight simulators.
And the landscapes for it were just massive. Well, they kind of had to be because planes. Yeah. But they were really cool, and they had like so many different planes that each controlled differently, had different guns. Like you had planes with machine guns, planes with shotguns, planes with rockets, planes with Tesla coils. Like, you name a type of weapon, there was at least one plane in that game that had it. Huh. It was just nuts.
It seems sort of like a unique branch off of like an Ace Combat game.
Yeah, that's essentially what. Actually,
I think about the whole time.
I think Ace actually might have done something after that. I don't know, but I would definitely love to see that come back. Yeah. Like especially with today's like multiplayer hype going around with stuff for like Destiny and Call of Duty and that. Like
dude, that could make a multiplayer like dogfight game.
Oh yeah.
That sounds awesome.
The original title could do
now.
Here, wait, hand me the box here real quick. I think it could do up to 16-player co-op. Or not co-op.
I mean, that's essentially what Battlefield is now, and it has me throwing my controller all over the place now. So it's just like, I don't know, it's just so hard to learn those controls. So
getting some gigantic dogfighting multiplayer would be pretty rad.
Yeah, this says it can go up to 16.
Yeah,
so you can do 4 teams of 4.
Yeah,
and just do shenanigans.
Still in this,
which would be amazing for an aerial dogfight. Like you can do that now in Halo, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy's hiding behind that rock. But for Crimson Skies, you're like, oh, he's on my radar. Is he around the corner? Is he below me?
Yeah.
You don't know. That's what I liked about Crimson Skies to an extent until people got cheap with it. But, you know, like I didn't really do anything online with it, which was kind of depressing because when it came out, I was just getting into consoles and I didn't have an Xbox Live account or anything like that.
I never played Xbox Live on the original Xbox.
I know, I didn't either. But then the 360 came out and I was like, oh man, Live, this is amazing.
Yeah. Online was a premium when 360 came out.
Yeah, but that would be my vote for what comes back.
All right, Naj, what are you thinking?
Well, I would have said Tomb Raider about a year and a half ago before they completely remade the series.
Yeah.
Because Tomb Raider is like what I grew up on in kindergarten. But now since they completely redid that series and I'm, you know, so excited for Rise of the Tomb Raider next year, I would have to say Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot.
Like it's kind of like, I mean, a forgotten franchise. Like it's, and it kind of carried the PlayStation 2 in the late 90s. I mean the PlayStation 1 in the late 90s. And just to see it just disappear after a bunch of mediocre releases they had, and
It was pretty much once Naughty Dog was the original company that had it. It was like after they sold the rights and other companies tried to take their hand at a Crash game, it lost all of its flavor.
I mean, the last time I played a Crash Bandicoot was Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped or Warp 3 on the PSP, and it was the first time I ever got through it, getting 100% completion, getting everything completed. And I was just like, wow, this game would have been so much better with trophies or achievements. And I was just like, to see, not all of the games remastered, maybe just 1, 2, and 3, because those are just classics. Like I had every game, including all the toys. I had like an entire collection of Crash Bandicoot toys. My mom threw them on the trash, and it was just like, it's just lost along with the games also. So it's just like.
Are you counting Crash Team Racing in that?
Crash Team Racing was amazing.
I could go for some Crash Team Racing.
Yeah, Crash Team Racing. I can only imagine that now. Like, I mean, I don't know. It would kind of conflict with Mario Kart a little bit because Mario Kart is awesome.
Yeah.
So
that's why they made it though.
Yeah, but like I knew all the characters in and out in the Crash Bandicoot world, so it was just like, to me, I would love for them to remaster that. I mean, but I think Activision owns that now.
Well, so you never know who.
They're just like sitting on it. I mean, hopefully at some point, you know, in this new console generation, we get to see Crash again. But fingers crossed.
Do you guys think like there's certain generations of consoles where if you're gonna do based on how the graphics are or something, like you should update the graphics and you shouldn't? Like I feel like PlayStation 1 graphics, like all those games are so great, but like when you go back and play them, for me it's hard to like, just with the first 3D games, it's like really,
and that's how, and that a perfect example is Metal Gear Solid, the first one. How it's just me trying to get myself in sync with the story again, and going back and playing that, it's hard to play after playing Metal Gear Ground Zeroes like the month before, and it's just I plan on buying a GameCube to play Twin Snakes, because that's the remastered version of Metal Gear Solid. So, I mean, but I do understand what you're saying about that. Those games are very hard to play. Because,
I feel like it depends, because, like, at the end of the 16-bit era, I feel like that was, like, the apex of 2D gaming. Like, that's, like, an art to me. Like, I feel like any Super Nintendo or like Sega Genesis game, like I would not want the graphics updated. And actually, like Mega Man X, they did that, I think, for touch devices, and it was just like, nah, don't do that. But
sort of like keep pixel art in its same form.
Yeah.
Whereas like
where they had like the 3D models for it and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that. I love 3D models, but I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, keep it the way it is, just because it's a retro classic. But
like what I'm saying is, like, for example, like N64, when they redid Ocarina of Time for the 3DS, was it 3DS?
It was. I think it was.
Yeah,
3DS.
it looked awesome. Like it looked so good, and I feel like that generation, like, 3D was just a new thing, and like, it would be cool to see all those remastered.
Yeah, like they were just like pioneering with that back in the day. So like redoing those just to put like finishing touches on it. Yeah. Like it was kind of the same thing for like Halo 1. Like if you had like the Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, you could toggle between like the new rendered version and the classic
Really?
retro
I didn't
version.
know that.
Yeah.
They should put that in all the remasters.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if
Well,
you,
not all,
you
but-
can go like walking around and like if you hit I think it was select, it'll like fade to black and then fade back in, and it'll like if you start out in like the remastered air quote remastered look, it'll fade out, fade back in, and it'll be the retro look from when it first came out.
I never
And
thought
it was
about
really-
that. That's a interesting
And it
thing
was
that
really-
people should consider.
Yeah, and it was really cool that you could switch back and forth for the nostalgia feels. So you just be like, oh yeah, I remember this hallway. That dude's gonna come, and then you could swap back and just be like, yeah.
Yeah, which that brings up a good point about a lot of remasters that are coming out, like how many times Resident Evil 4 has been remastered and Halo is getting like fully remastered.
Thank
A
God.
lot of them, it seems like the graphical updates, they made it just so it's how the graphics look how you remembered it. And because like I got a remastered version of Resident Evil 4, looks just how I remember it. Went back to my old PlayStation 2 and the GameCube version of Resident Evil 4, and boy does it look rough. Like it just looks jagged, pixelated.
What game do you want remastered? Tell us.
What game do I want remastered? Is I want Time Splitters remastered, or better yet, just a new entry. I wouldn't want them to do an HD version of the old games if it meant we could get a brand
Which
new.
installment was your favorite?
2.
Two.
2 was my
yes.
yes,
2 was
you
my
know.
favorite too.
It's just, I think it would do great at this time because there seems to be a growing
The
like
multiplayer was great on that game.
yeah.
It was pretty
There
good.
seems to be a growing like distaste of the modern first-person shooter as far as the gaming community goes. And I think that would be a fresh take on it. You can get like 200 different characters. You can have a velociraptor fighting a snowman with flamethrowers and bricks. It just seems like a type of ridiculous gameplay.
And the maps were ridiculously good too.
Yes, they were ridiculously good.
Yeah, and I love for the maps that you could like customize maps from scratch
Yes.
too. Like you just be like, oh yeah, I want this stairwell over here, and like you can just build maps from scratch
Make
and
your
just be
own
like, oh
missions and
yeah,
everything.
I
Yeah.
built this. Let's go.
Now,
like-
I need to go back and play that game.
That type of game, I think, would do wonders on new consoles, and it's a shame that it was made by a company called Free Radical, which then got broken up, and they made the game Haze for PlayStation 3, and then they did the Crisis series, and they've been just thrown apart. I would really like to see something happen with that franchise.
Yeah.
Because I think if put in the right situation and promoted a lot, I think that game could skyrocket and have huge success.
Oh, no doubt.
At some point, hopefully we all get our wishes and these games get remastered because I don't know. It's just some these games are just left buried under the rug, and with Crash Bandicoot, I would really like to see him remastered at some point, but hopefully these publishers don't get too forgetful and forget about these forgotten greats.
Yeah, hopefully they won't forget the games that made their companies great.
Agreed.
Yeah.